Hello everyone, in today's video we're going to be talking about the most recent Electronic Arts layoffs, unfortunately, and where they firing about 300 to 400 if I remember correctly people. We're going to be on pcgamer today. This is by Andy Chalk. Thank you for the article. It'll be linked down in the description if you would like to read it for yourself. The title goes, Electronic Arts lays off hundreds of employees and cancels 2 incubation projects including a new Titanfall game. It's all about driving future growth, you see. And honestly, at this point, I don't know if it's possible for people to hate EA even more, but I mean, they're certainly trying their best to make them literally the most hated video game company in the world again, I feel like, because, you know, a lot of people hate Blizzard now, a lot of people hate Sony right now, but EA, and just like a lot of people hate Ubisoft, EA always comes back from the shadows to remind everyone that they are in fact the most hated video game company in the world, pretty much always. Somehow, no matter what other companies are doing, EA manages to come around. Just before we get into the article, I'd like to remind everyone, please subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate it if you do. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers. Once I do, I'll be doing a Q&A video. If you're interested, please subscribe. Also, comment down below what you guys think about this whole Electronic Arts thing. I mean, I assume everyone hates EA just as much as everyone else does, but, you know, there's sometimes some people that are okay with it. At least not with this, but, you know, they do make good games, so, you know, it's hard to say. Electronic Arts has reportedly laid off 300 to 400 people, according to a new Bloomberg report, included roughly 100 at apexlegends Studios Respawn Entertainment, and Respawn has also canceled at least 2 early in development projects, one of them which was reportedly a Titanfall based extraction shooter. Now, I did try to read the Bloomberg report, but Bloomberg's website is so awful and it is so horribly annoying to view that I decided just to use this one instead, because the Bloomberg, first of all, it actually says less and it doesn't really show that much that this one doesn't, but the Bloomberg one is the original one. And honestly, Titanfall based extraction shooter honestly could be interesting, especially if they're utilizing the mechs and stuff like that, like getting cool loot for your mech, the Titanfall mech, and then like your pilot, you have pilot stuff and then mech stuff, and you can grab loot from that type of stuff. It sounds interesting, though I'm not entirely sure why the extraction shooter is like the hit thing right now, because extraction games are really hardcore, and like there's a finite amount of people that like video games and will play different genres, but the extraction shooter is a small group of people. Like, sure, probably millions still, you know, because we're talking about like big corporate stuff, but it's still a very small market comparatively, and I don't really understand why that everyone seems to be going for these at once, because Tarkov dominates in the extraction shooter genre. Marathon is trying to get into it, which I don't necessarily think is going to work. Arc Raiders, which is one of the newer ones, is also trying to get into it, and like, but there's also like a graveyard of extraction shooters, almost like there was a graveyard of hero shooters. I feel like it's so weird that everyone seems to be going for this genre when it's really a hardcore genre, and not a lot of people, I feel like a significant amount of people just don't bother. And I don't know if you can convince those people. As part of our continued focus on long-term strategic priorities, we've made select changes within our organization that more effectively align teams and allocate resources in service of driving future growth, an EA rep said in a statement provided to the site. I mean, that's just PR BS. If you truly were thinking about long-term strategic priorities, you'd let more games develop, because Apex Legends is slowly decreasing in popularity because the game's super old and people are kind of getting sick and tired of it. And EA itself is kind of going through a interesting perspective because sports games aren't doing as well as they used to. I think the soccer games are still doing well, but they don't have the FIFA brand anymore. So who knows what's going on with the sports games. And sports games, from what I can tell, while they're still relatively popular, a lot of sports games fans are really frustrated with them because they're really lower on the quality bar than they used to be, from at least from me looking from the outside looking in, because I'm not a huge video game player, but every time I look at them, they're all very upset about how down the quality has been recently. And honestly, I don't even remember. I guess technically the new Dragon Age was also EA because BioWare is EA, but like that was a colossal failure. And I guess the new Mass Effect will be EA as well, but like it feels weird because they seem to be banking on these big games but then not supporting them enough, and also like not letting teams make smaller games, because smaller games is really if you're thinking about long-term strategic priorities, making smaller games on a smaller budget is generally the way to go if you want to be a long-term developer, because making big games can be good for profits and stuff like that, but if one game fails, you have no money basically. If one game fails, you've spent your shot and your shot wasn't enough. But if you do a lot of smaller games, if one fails, it's not as big of a deal, and if one succeeds, then it's a huge deal because it's easier to make a profit on a smaller budget. But I guess, I mean, the problem is that small profits don't work when you're in the management of EA, I guess, because you have shareholders and all that type of stuff. Respawn separately confirmed its own layoffs and cancellations in a carefully messaged statement on X that, just like EA's management, avoids the words canceled and layoffs entirely. True, but everyone knows that those words are used, that those were the words that are true. As we sharpen our focus for the future, we've made the decision to step away from two early stage incubated projects and make sure some targeted team adjustments across Apex Legends and Star Wars Jedi, the studio said. People being out of work by the cuts will be offered meaningful support, Respawn said, and including exploring new opportunities within EA. While I want to trust Respawn, I don't really, because this is a very PR statement and offered meaningful support. Honestly, I just don't believe any big video game company that says that when they're under the branch of a big AAA company. Like, if this was an indie studio saying we offered meaningful support, I'd be more inclined to believe them, but when it's Respawn under the eyes of EA, I just don't believe them at all. And that's not necessarily against the people at Respawn if they are trying to do this, but it's just like I can't trust them with what these types of statements are, because it is a very carefully worded statement. The Bloomberg report says one of the canceled projects, codenamed R7, was an extraction shooter set in the Titanfall universe. The other game was apparently canceled earlier this year. Like I said, I think an extraction shooter in the Titanfall universe could work, honestly, because of the way pilots and mechs go. I'm curious how that would go. Unfortunately, I feel like the easiest way to do that is like you're the pilot and you get upgrades for your mech at a base, and having a better mech at your base means you get stuff during the run, so you don't actually use the mech. But Titanfall with its big mechs and pilots, I think that would be really interesting in an extraction shooter, but obviously we're never going to see it, so I guess it doesn't really matter. But a mech extraction shooter sounds interesting, like a mech based extraction shooter does sound interesting. I just don't know how you would do that properly, because a big thing about extraction shooters is like the sound and being silent and like the surprise of action and stuff like that. Like, how do you sneak around? How do you do a sneak around playstyle as a mech? I don't know. Respawn made a point of noting that while the news is bad, everything is also fine because our commitment to player first experiences remains unchanged. I believe that, but I believe that with the asterisk of our commitment to player first experiences remains unchanged asterisk, as long as EA is okay with us, because in the bottom line of everything, if what EA says goes, and so it doesn't matter what Respawn's commitments are. EA controls everything. For Apex Legends, this means expanding what Apex can be and investing in what's next for the franchise, exploring bold experiences that push the boundaries of competitive play while staying true to the spirit of competition, creativity, and integrity that our community expects. But canceling projects that were in the Titanfall universe is doing the exact opposite of that, because Apex Legends is in the Titanfall universe, if I remember correctly. So they're doing the exact opposite of that. Expanding, I guess, unless they're trying to say like specifically Apex. I assume that's what they mean, like specifically Apex, not the universe. Because to be fair, most people who play Apex Legends don't even know that it's in Titanfall. And I guess what they're trying to do, maybe it's because the extraction shooter was a Titanfall game and not an Apex Legends game. That could be it, because Apex Legends has a bigger name than Titanfall does. Yeah, that might be it. I could see that being the reason. As far as Star Wars Jedi goes, well, yes, there's going to be another Star Wars Jedi game. No real surprise. Yeah, I mean, the Star Wars Jedi games have been really successful and they're fun. I've played them and they're really fun. They're fun games. Though I must say, even though it's still fun to be a Jedi, I do wish there were more games where you weren't just a Jedi. That's why I was so sad that the Battlefront games that EA made were so bad and just so terrible, especially Battlefront 2 with the whole microtransaction stuff, because I played Battlefront 2 after they fixed all the microtransaction stuff and it was just a game and it was fun. But the problem is that there was barely any players at the time because everyone hated it so much. Well-deserved hate, but they underlining it was a decent game. It was just so terribly filled with microtransactions. I really hope that some company tries to make a Star Wars Battlefront again, because I think that game genre has tons of potential. It's just make it a paid game, or make it there's so many better ways to do that type of game than what they did. Because while I do enjoy the being a Jedi, I do still want to be things outside of being a Jedi. And unfortunately, the only other option I have right now generally is Outlaws from Ubisoft. And I don't want to play a Ubisoft game right now. I'm just not in the mood for that type of game. So this is the full statement. At Respawn, bold ideas, creative risks, and passionate storytelling have always defined who we are. The spirit that carried us through incredible incredible highs and sometimes through difficult changes too. As we sharpen our focus for the future, we've made the decision to step away from 2 early stage incubated projects to make some targeted team adjustments across Apex Legends and Star Wars Jedi. These decisions aren't easy, and we're deeply grateful to every teammate affected. Their creativity and contributions have helped build Respawn into what it is today. We're offering meaningful support to those impacted, including exploring new opportunities within EA. Looking ahead, our commitment to player-first experiences remains unchanged. Innovation has always been at the core of Respawn's identity and continues to drive how we build the future, from evolving live experiences to crafting new worlds and stories. I mean, I kind of agree with that, but the problem is the only new worlds you've explored is Star Wars, because before Star Wars, it's been Apex Legends basically only from Respawn. It's Apex Legends and the Star Wars Jedi series. They haven't done literally anything else, so I don't know about crafting new worlds. For Apex Legends, this does not mean just delivering competitive, innovative seasons, but expanding what Apex can be. While the team will continue to refine gameplay and bring new ideas to upcoming seasons, we're also investing in what's next for the franchise, exploring bold experiences that push boundaries of competitive play while staying true to the spirit of competition, creativity, and integrity that our community expects. Yeah, so I mean, I guess this is just that this is Respawn saying that Titanfall doesn't have a big enough name anymore, that it won't get past the drawing board because EA won't approve it, probably. Or even, honestly, maybe even Respawn at this point. I'm not sure. Maybe the Respawn management also doesn't think it'll go. Because the only reason you would say this statement, but still also be canceling a Titanfall game, is because Titanfall isn't big enough, but Apex Legends is. So the game needs to have resemblance to Apex instead of Titanfall. Within the Star Wars universe, we're excited to keep building new stories, with the next chapter of Star Wars Jedi series aiming to raise the bar again for storytelling and gameplay. To everyone who has been part of our journey, past, present, and future, thank you for making Respawn what it is. We carry your legacy with us into everything we create next. Yeah, I mean, this is a very big PR statement. They don't use the words layoffs. They don't use the word canceled. They just they use the word step away, which is hilarious. Apex Legends remains big, but as has been faltering somewhat in EA's most recent quarterly financial call, CEO Andrew Wilson alludes to Apex 2.0, describing it as a more meaningful update of Apex as a broad game experience, although he added that it wouldn't drop until sometimes after the next Battlefield game, which is currently expected sometimes before April 2026. In light of these cuts, however, I do wonder if we may be hearing more about it sooner than expected. Perhaps very soon. EA's next quarterly financial report is set for May 6th. Yeah, that does kind of make sense. And honestly, it's just kind of sad that something like this is happening at Respawn, because Respawn has made good video games. The problem is they just can't get away from Apex Legends now. Apex Legends was such a huge hit that they can't get away from it, and the problem is that in the team of Respawn, if there is big Titanfall fans, it's just not going to happen again, because Titanfall 3 isn't Apex Legends 2, and Apex Legends 2, or whatever it is, doesn't have a big enough sway compared to Apex. Sorry, I said Apex in the beginning. I meant to say Titanfall. Titanfall just doesn't have a big enough name compared to Apex Legends now, even though Apex is in Titanfall's universe. I'm pretty sure Apex Legends is a bigger name than Titanfall, and so any game that starts with Titanfall universe instead of Apex Legends universe, I can't imagine be going very well. And at this point, I'm just surprised they were even bothering, because I feel like a new Titanfall game has been pitched and canceled at least 6 or 7 times at this point that slowly has been uncovered, and they just can't get away from Apex Legends, because you can't deny the success of Apex Legends, but you also can't deny the monetary value of Apex because of how much money it brings in for EA, because it's a free-to-play game with tons of microtransactions, and people buy those microtransactions. And Titanfall 3 or whatever new Titanfall game wouldn't be that, most likely. So I can't imagine EA being okay with that, especially now that EA's sports games are faltering. So everything needs to kind of build up, and the last Battlefield game was a horrible failure. Basically, Battlefield 5 and 2042 were both big failures for DICE. So it seems that it really is a big problem for EA, and Respawn is one of those people that are just going to take the fall for it, because they were trying to make something that wasn't going to potentially make them tons of money. Because once again, I don't think an extraction shooter is I don't think it's going to be necessarily bad, but I don't think it's going to be Apex Legends money, and what they want is Apex Legends money with any new title. And the only reason the Star Wars Jedi games are being made is because it's Star Wars, and EA still needs to make Star Wars game, or wants to make Star Wars games, because Star Wars is Star Wars, and they really faltered the Star Wars license when they had exclusivity with it, so they're trying to gain some respect back with that at least. Hopefully, the people that got laid off can actually rebound, and it always sucks when something like this happens, but hopefully they can rebound. Thank you everyone for watching today's video. I really appreciate it. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, I really appreciated that as well. Comment down below what you guys think about this whole situation with Respawn and EA. I think it's a lot of PRBS, what Respawn said, and with anything EA says is PRBS, but Respawn definitely had to get fine-tooth comb with this with EA's approval, almost guaranteed. Like the video if you like it, dislike it if you dislike it, I understand. If you'd like to follow me on other platforms, I have a Twitch, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky, and Threads. Thank you everyone for watching, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye everyone.